Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave, and today we are going to be discussing all of these receipts. This was the receipts for the trip, my trip to Arkansas and back, and I've got it divided into three categories: one for gas, one for food, and one for miscellaneous. So I'm not going to take them all out and go through them like that. I'm going to go through the categories though. But before I do that, I want to talk about a few certain things on it. Number one being gas. You know, I live in Arizona, and gas here is $4.55 here in my area, but down the street it's $4.69. So go figure. But going as I would head more east, the cheaper it would get. So starting right off the bat, you know, going north here in Arizona, you'd get up there and the gas would be like $4.09 at the time or something like that. And when I got to Arkansas, I found gas there for as low as $2.89. So that was really, really good. I don't know that I found it any cheaper in Texas at all. And that's supposed to be the lowest price state in the country. So gas prices make a big difference. I didn't figure the price of gas at all. So I'm not going to tell you right now. I'm going to come back at the end of the video, and I'm just going to go through all the categories after you've seen all of it and give you the total of everything. I cooked all of my own food, almost. I did eat out 5 times, five total. And so I ate normal stuff. I mean, I would have pork chops. I had grilled or pan-fried catfish. I had grilled chicken. I had just about everything. So I also ate, you know, stuff like potted meat sandwich, or not potted meat, but Underwood deviled ham sandwiches and chicken sandwiches and stuff like that. Breakfast would be anywhere from burritos, I mean a chorizo burrito, to a hard-boiled egg and strawberries and cream oats. So I didn't starve, that's for sure. So that kept the cost down a lot. When I got to Conway, I saw a place called David's Burgers. Well, that's my name, so I figured I got to try that no matter what. And that was the first time I ate out. And it was like a hamburger. It was a really cool place though, because it was all done up in 50s. They played 50s music. The people there, the staff was awesome. They were just the sweetest people in the world. I mean, they were just fantastic. They had this little, the way that they do stuff is they give you a little strip of like wax paper, the paper that goes in the baskets that they, and that right there, so that you don't get hungry. As soon as you get set down, they come over and start dishing out little bits of French fries until your food comes. And then if the fries they last forever. It just, whenever you're done with fries, you say you don't want no more. Now the whole time I was there, I'm always on the lookout for barbecue. Well, this one here popped up on my way to Story Lake, and I wasn't about to pass it up. So, Burrell's Country Smokehouse and Barbecue. The food was good. There was no two ways about it. Here I got a place called Tom's Barbecue, which is, to me, unbeatable. And Burrell's didn't beat it, but I would eat there lots of times again. It was really good. And the store was awesome. It was, and you've seen it in the videos. The next time I ate out was in Mountain View for breakfast. It was at a place called A Bushel and a Peck Cafe. And I just wanted breakfast, and I went in there and I told the girl everything was you know, by the plate like normal, but they also had the a la carte, and I just told her I just wanted 1 egg, a pancake, bacon, and that's it, you know. So she brought every one of them back out, each one on its own plate. She was really nice. It was a really nice place. The food was totally fine. When I got to Ozark, I was looking for another breakfast place, but instead, I found Rivertown Barbecue. Good. Still not better than Tom's, but very good. And the price was, the special of the day. It was a 3-rib lunch. You got 3 ribs and a choice of a side or something like that. And it was like $10.50. You can't beat that. So that was awesome. On my way home, I kind of got a craving for pizza. So I was looking online for a pizza place and put the directions to get over there. Took me to this building. When I got there, it didn't say anything about pizza, but I decided I'd go check it out anyway. So I go inside, and what is it? It's a Cuban restaurant. Now, they'd already brought me chips and salsa and everything, so I figured I'm going to stay. So I had what was called an all-American cheeseburger, which which was a hamburger patty with lots of cheese on the top, but instead of having bread, it was between two corn tortillas. Not what I had in mind at all. And then it was Sally's Cafe, Chakota, Oklahoma. Sally's Cafe for breakfast. Now that place I will highly recommend for breakfast. It was home cooked food. Everything was home cooked except for the gravy wasn't made from scratch, but it was good. Everything else was really good regardless. It was worth it. And that's the times I ate out right there. Okay, so I stayed at no hotels, and gotta make my claim here. My favorite hotel for real is the one you're looking at right now. That's the truth. Well, there was one time when I really contemplated staying in a hotel. I had everything lined up on my phone, ready to push the button to say book it. And the reason why is because I got there and it had been rainy, and the weather was so nice and cool, and it was damp as all get out, but it was so cool, it just felt great. This one particular day, it got up into the upper 80s, and with humidity to match. And that night, it was a little bit, it took a while. Right after the sun went down, it started cooling off. And I was just sitting there just thinking to myself, if it starts to do this tomorrow, all day long, I don't know if I want to do that. And I was heading out anyway, so I thought maybe I'll just go into Ozark and rent a hotel for the next 2 days. And well, that night, I would open up the vent on the van, just open that vent up, and turn the fan on to suck the air in from outside, because it actually got cooler and cooler and cooler as it went. And then I had another band clamped onto the rod for my curtains that I could point right at me. So as the air was being sucked in from outside, it was just blowing right on me. So I had that on for, I don't know, quite a few hours. It got a little bit chilly later on, and I just turned off that one fan and left the other one. I turned both fans off, and I decided, why bother with it? I think I'll probably just head home anyway. I was all done with my purpose of coming to Arkansas, so I figured I'd probably just head home instead. I spent my first 2 nights at truck stops, a Flying J and a Pilot. First one in New Mexico and the second one in Oklahoma. The next day after that, I was in Arkansas at a place called River Ridge Dispersed Camping, right by the Arkansas River. I stayed there for 2 days, and then I moved on, got to Conway, and spent the night in the parking lot of a Cracker Barrel. From there, I headed up to Mountain View, and on the way back, I stopped at a place called Desark Dispersed Camping. I think it was out of a place called Canton, but anyway, it was an awesome place. My next stop was Little Rock, and I spent the night at a Bass Pro Shops there. After that, I went to Story Lake and stayed there for 2 nights. From there, I went to Mount Magazine in Boonville, and then I spent the night at a place called Jack Creek Dispersed Camping, which was my favorite place of all. I stayed 2 nights there and then headed up to Ozark. After that, I spent another 2 nights at a place called Cane Creek. From there, I started heading home and stopped at a truck stop for the first night. The next night, I spent at a place called Hereford, Texas, in a city park. The night after that, I was back in Arizona and spent the night at a BLM spot in Heber, Arizona, which is my least favorite place of all. These places are shown in the trip, part 1 and part 2, and a little more in detail than just a snapshot here. Now, where I did stay, since I didn't stay in the hotels, I stayed in, my favorite one was truck stops, as far as public places. I mostly looked for public campgrounds, mainly, and those are my favorite. Those are the places I stayed the most. Probably the most ridiculous expense I had was laundry, believe it or not. Okay, you'll see in here a little part later on about my laundry. I'm definitely way behind the times on laundry, so I kind of got cheated a little bit out there just from me not knowing what to do. It's certainly nobody's fault but my own. The first place I went to do laundry, I had to ask a guy standing there who was doing his laundry how to work the machines. I had no idea. They are not, and you'll see what I'm talking about later on in the video, but I had no idea, nothing about this laundromat whatsoever. So It ended up, I towed for 2 loads, 2 times of going to the laundry, which is 1 load each. I probably spent $30 for the 2 times, but this one particular time in Clarksville, I think I spent $20 just from not having a clue what to do. So when you see the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. I've got some pictures in there to explain it. I haven't been in a public laundromat since the late 1970s, so I walked through the door and, well, let me say this first. When I went back in the 1970s, a laundromat looked like this. You notice the dryers have the doors, and you notice that the doors on the washing machines are in a totally different place. Now, this is what my dryer and washer looks like, basically the same. That's right now, today. Now, this is the laundromats that exist out there right now. To me, they all look like dryers. And at one point, I think I washed my clothes twice, dried it once, and I think the total by the time I got done was $30. It's funny now, but boy, it wasn't funny then. I was very irritated. Also, I had bought a camp shower from Walmart. It was a pretty nice one, I thought. It was about $25-26. And so at Story Lake, they have these poles that were already up there that had bent ends on them. You could put your lanterns up there and all that. Well, one side of the one that I hung it on wasn't bent, and it was bent down almost. So when I started hoisting this thing up after I filled it with water, it slipped from one side all the way to the other side, hit the ground, and popped like a water balloon. So next thing I know, I had to buy a brand spanking new shower. This time I opted for the cheaper one. It was like $15. And while I was there, I also replaced my water jug because the other one I'd had probably 20 years old and didn't have the vent plug on it, which was another $20. So these are expenses that didn't really have to be there, but I still spent the money on them. Now, attractions, I wouldn't put that in miscellaneous, but I'm not a tourist. I'm a guy. Guys don't like to shop, and I don't really want to watch it on the internet. And sorry, gals, if that's what you want me to do. It's just too hard, and I can't do that. But for groceries, all I did was I brought a whole lot of them with me, and the only thing that actually got ruined was I brought 1 meal's worth of broccoli, and that got ruined because I didn't ever eat it. And there was one other thing. Oh, an onion. I brought an onion. Man, that thing stunk after 2 weeks bad, so I got rid of that. Everything else was fine. And here's another cost saver, though. At one of the places when I was at Des Arc, there was a guy there he just got a whole lot of catfish. He'd been out fishing and he got a lot. So he came by and he was just kind of going around passing around bags of catfish, that have a couple of good pieces in there. And said, he just walks up to me and he started talking a little bit. He says, "You look like you could use some catfish. You look like you'd like some catfish." I said, "You betcha I would." And then when I got to Story Lake, there was a girl who lives there, and she don't have a home. She lives out in the wild, and she had been to a food pantry that day, and there were certain foods that she got she didn't care for. She handed me a box of pulled pork, a cold pulled pork, already cooked and everything, and I'm going, "Oh heck yeah, I'll take that. I love pulled pork." And later on, she come back again with another bag, and you could tell definitely stuff she don't really want. Not that I really wanted it either. Honestly, there's a couple of things that I did keep. And then she came back again later on that night. They had made dessert, and she had a chocolate covered strawberry with crushed walnuts on it. A big old thing. So she was a very sweet gal, and I thought that was just as awesome as could be. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is if you look on my homepage, you'll see there's a little globe thing there, a world thing, whatever. I have a website that I'm doing for this one, and a lot of people have their Patreons and all these things. I'm not saying I won't do it later, but right now there's not a point. But what I am doing is I got some things that I may not really want to stick out there for the whole world just to be able to find. Okay, so gas was the most expensive. Gas was $450.35. That just blew me away. I just loved it when I saw that. And then miscellaneous would be the water bottle, the shower, things like that. Oh, that was also groceries. Yeah. So that was what I went and buy, the little bits I would spend on groceries. Water, I had to go and fill up on the water jugs That's cheap, but you know, you go through water pretty quick when you're out there. So that was all these things, everything that had nothing to do with eating out, everything else in there. That was $177.58. Okay, and then eating out of the 5 times that I ate out, the total was $86.94. And the total brings the grand total to, drum roll please, $714.87. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time. God bless.